Laulu Conde after he held a virtual meeting with the National Human Rights Commission (NHRC) over the recent cases of sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria and the way forward. He also promised to encourage state governments who are yet to domesticate the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act of 2015 and the Child Rights Act of 2003 to do so. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has disclosed that the health sector will benefit 126 billion naira out of the 500 billion naira initial stimulus fund included in the 2020 budget. It said the government was hopeful that the response to the COVID-19 pandemic to revamp healthcare facilities would be sustained. According to a statement today by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Laolu Akonde, the vice president said this yesterday during a webinar tagged Economic Sustainability Beyond COVID-19. He said despite the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic globally, the present regime would not relent in its efforts towards improving the country's healthcare infrastructure and economy. This, he said, would be achieved by creating more jobs for millions of Nigerians in different sectors, supporting small businesses, local production, and manufacturing, as well as extending the social safety net for the most vulnerable in the society. The Jigawa state government today said it now has only one active COVID-19 case in its isolation center after 316 other patients recovered. Governor Badaru Abubakar confirmed this in a press briefing at the State House in Dutse, the state capital. Abubakar also said his government was suspending the border closure with the neighboring states of Kano, Bauchi, Katsina, and Yobe State. According to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, Jigawa had reported a total of 317 cases of the novel coronavirus, with 6 casualties as of yesterday evening. He also announced the temporary closure of isolation center at Banuso pending the time new cases are discovered. As global and local to provide sustainable cure to the recent COVID-19 pandemic, the Executive Minister of Health, Dr. Osagi Ehanire, has for the first time received a delegation of royal traditional chiefs from the Oni of Ife, Obadiyeye Enitan Ogunwusi Ojaja II, who presented a curative herbal medicine for COVID-19. The delegation was received at the Ministry of Health headquarters in Abuja. The reception of traditional rulers by the Honorable Minister of Health was premised on discussions surrounding the invention of a new herbal cure for coronavirus in Nigeria. According to reports, this is the first time the Honorable Minister of Health would be given any official audience to curative herbal provisions to curtail the spread of coronavirus in the country. The delegation was led by His Royal Majesty Oba Babatunde Tokunbo Awosunle, who was accompanied by Prince Ishola Olatunbosun, Dr. Oloruko Oba Fagunroye, Alexander Ajagbono, and a traditional medicine expert, Dr. Oloruko Oba Adekunle Sumbo from Dr. White Itano Pharma Nigeria Limited in Osun State. During the meeting, the Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, commended the Oni of Ife and other traditional rulers for their efforts and concerns in the national combat against the Hydra-headed coronavirus pandemic. Speaking during the meeting with the Minister of Health and directors of the Federal Ministry of Health, His Royal Majesty Oba Babatunde Tokunbo Awosunle, on behalf of the Oni of Ife, noted that the need to develop the new herbal curative medicine was in view of incessant deaths of his people. He told the minister that his message from the Oni of Ife was an assurance of his continued interest supporting the war against COVID-19 in Nigeria, which he earlier commenced by acquiring and developing locally made fumigators, which were being used in palaces and communities across the state. Prince Ishola Olatunbosun, another traditional ruler, stated emphatically that the curative herbal medicine developed by his team was already undergoing the necessary processes, which includes NAFDAC registration, listing, and other constitutional requirements. While highlighting the effectiveness of the invention, Mr. Prince Olatunbosun, on behalf of the traditional rulers, seeks direction and support from the Ministry of Health on how best the invention can be effectively used to curtail the spread of COVID-19 in Nigeria, especially with regards to approval. In a reaction from Dr. Osagi Ehanire, gave the assurance of government's interest in supporting their innovative findings and submissions, stressing that the required approval will be provided by the ministry after all the necessary processes and medical bodies may have reviewed the herbal curative medicine which they have suggested as a cure to the virus. The Publicity Secretary, All Progressives Congress (APC) in Oyo State, Dr. Abdulaziz Olatunde, disclosed today that former Governor Abiola Ajimobi would resume duty as the acting national chairman of the party as soon as practicable. Olatunde said this in a telephone interview today with journalists. It described as misrepresenting a statement credited to him by some online news platform that the ailing former governor would be sworn in as acting national chairman of the APC next week. He also dispelled the rumor that there was a crisis within the party over the decision of the National Working Committee (NWC) to appoint Iliad Etta to act on behalf of the ailing Ajimobi. Ajimobi was, until his new appointment, the APC's deputy national chairman South. Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki has visited the National Secretariat of the People's Democratic Party for screening. After Obaseki joined the PDP yesterday, the party extended the screening of aspirants for its primary election in Edo State. It also granted the governor and his deputy, Philip Shuaibu, waivers to contest election on the platform of the party. Earlier, three aspirants, Gideon Ikene, Ogbede Ihama, and Kenneth Imansuagbon, had been screened by the screening committee. The Edo PDP primary is slated for Tuesday, June 23 in Benin, the state capital. You are listening to Timsed National News, coming to you from Timsed 94.1 FM, transmitting from Iliajin, Okiagboja, Ijebujesha, in the state of Osun, Nigeria. Live and direct on YouTube and Facebook. You can also listen to us globally on Radio Garden. Download Timsed app and Google Play Store. And now to the rest of the news. The military today said its Air Force has neutralized several Boko Haram terrorists and immobilized one of their gun trucks at Bula Kogere, a terrorist logistics distribution center and meeting point on the fringes of the Sambisa forest in Borno State. According to a statement signed by the military spokesman, John Eneche, the operation was conducted via airstrikes by the Air Task Force, ATF, of Operation Lafia Dole on Wednesday. The military said the airstrikes were part of missions being conducted under the subsidiary Operation Long Reach after a Nigerian Air Force NAF Intelligence, Surveillance and Reconnaissance ISR aircraft spotted a large number of Boko Haram fighters and a gun truck within the settlement. The statement added that the NAF jets engaged the target area, taking out some structures and neutralizing some of the terrorists and immobilizing their gun truck. Meanwhile, bandits have allegedly killed 7 persons in another round of attacks in Kasai and Nahuta villages in Basari local government area of Katsina State. Residents said the attacks were carried out yesterday night when people in the two communities were about observing prayers. Residents said they were just shooting at every available object, adding that many residents escaped to the nearby communities while some passed the night inside the bush. In Kasai community alone, 2 persons were killed and 5 killed in Nahuta community with several others injured. The spokesman for the Katsina Police Command, SP Gambo Isa, said he should be given time to clarify the developments from the DPO Batsari and promised to get back. In another development, no fewer than 16 cultists of two separate cult groups have renounced membership of the cult groups in Rivers State. The repentant cultists also surrendered one AK-47 rifle, one pump-action gun, and 3 machetes. CSP Ebere Amarezu, the National Coordinator of Police Campaign Against Cultism and Other Vices, Pokakov, said this in a statement made available to journalists today in Enugu. Amerezu said that the renunciation was done at Orumokani in Emuohua local government area of River State yesterday. He said that the repentant cultists were members of Iceland and the Gram cult groups. He said that they embraced peace by renouncing their membership and surrendering arms to become better citizens and contribute to nation building. Amarezo said that the event was witnessed by some heads of security agencies, Pokakov, River State Coordinator, community members, and other stakeholders. Pokakov is an initiative of the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, meant to prevent the youth from joining cultism. The initiative offered olive branch to repentant ones with a view to making them better citizens. On June 12, no fewer than 68 members of the two cult groups had renounced their membership and surrendered their arms in Ogbakiri community in Emuhua local government area of the state. A woman, Mrs. Kikelomo Ilori, has accused her estranged husband, Mr. Folorunsho Ilori, of divorcing and seizing her 2 million naira worth properties in Ikoromaja community of Atakumosa East local government area of the state of Osun. According to Mrs. Ilori, a commercial motorcyclist come farmer husband had on several occasions threatened to kill her, adding that she had been a punching bag to him since she married him in 2008. The hapless woman who spoke with journalists on Wednesday said she left home on May 20, 2020 to seek refuge in her sister's house in Iwaraja after her husband beat her, stating that she could no longer bear the constant assault from Ilori, her husband. While she was at Iwaraja, Mrs. Ilori claimed that her husband brought the 3 children she bore for him and asked her not to return home, threatening that he would kill her if she ever comes to Ikoromaja. She stated that Mr. Ilori had declared that he was no longer interested in the marriage again and that she should forget about everything she has in his custody. According to Mrs. Ilori, she has 4 different farmlands, plots of land, palm oil processing machine, palm kernel machine, and other properties going into millions of naira in the city. Mrs. Ilori said she reported the case at Ayesa police station and her husband was invited on June 8, 2020. She said the police told her after speaking with her husband that they could not retrieve her properties for her, just as they advised her to approach court for necessary action. Mrs. Ilori accused her 2 sisters-in-law of manipulating Mr. Ilori against her, saying that they were the brains behind the seizure of her properties. The woman therefore called on well-meaning Nigerians to assist her in taking back her properties from her estranged husband, saying that life has been tough for her as it was difficult to feed her children. When contacted, Mr. Ilori said he decided to divorce the woman when he discovered that she was cheating on him. According to Mr. Ilori, the woman had moved out of his house and slept in another man's house for 2 days before returning to him after he confronted her. He denied seizing her properties, saying that she is indebted to some people and they decided to seize a palm oil processing machine. He claims she does not have any property with him and that they have settled it at the police station. Journalists, however, gathered that the case had been reported at the palace of Owaobokun of Ijeshaland by Dr. Adekunle Aromolaram, but all efforts to settle the matter proved abortive. And before I go tonight, here again is a recap of the highlights. Federal government to collaborate with states to domesticate Child Rights Act. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says healthcare gets 126 billion naira in 2020 budget. Onis delegates meets health minister over COVID-19 cure. APC says Ajimobi is recuperating and will resume as acting party chairman soon. Air Force neutralizes Boko Haram terrorists near Sambisa Forest. 16 youth renounce court membership, surrender guns in River States. Wife accuses husband of divorcing her and seizing 2 million naira properties in Osun. That ends the national news, read by Olamide Tejuoso. Good evening and many thanks for listening.